Oh, that means we've gone live. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another weekly episode of Let's Drone Out in our new home. And actually, we've been here a little while now. We still need to do some decorating, as in some of the pictures and things, but you're on this channel, Let's Drone Out. And thanks to our regulars who are already in the chat room, we've got everyone from the Dazzle, Zero FPV, Striker, the Guinness, or the Guinness. Yeah, hello everyone. We are going to be joined shortly by njtech, but he's just running a little late, so he will be joining us shortly. But we are joined by Tony. Hello, Tony.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. How you doing? Actually, we should really ask that in a bit, shouldn't we?
I've been better, but yeah.
Well, you're in good spirits. You're smiling and laughing, and hopefully that doesn't hurt. For those that don't know, and probably nobody does, Tony had a little intimate moment with something that was flying through the air. And that's what prompted this idea behind the show, because it's the start of the drone season, obviously, and many more people are getting into racing and flying these things. And so more and more we feel that we should do the public service broadcasting episodes where we talk about the bad things and how not to do them, and talk about the good things that people do that mitigate the bad things or the risk of the bad things. So yeah, I mean, I guess we've all made silly mistakes, schoolboy errors and stuff like that. And sometimes when you're dealing with these things, they get quite nasty. I've had one prop cut from when they spun up, and the rest of my prop cuts are when I'm trying to tighten my props on. Cut my fingers out holding the props.
That happens all the time.
I mean, have you had any prop cuts prior to this one, which we'll cover?
No, yeah, I've never had any. I've never had anything. What the hell was that? I've never had any.
You know that?
I've never had any prop cuts, as in, you know, when you power on the laptop and all that. I've always taken my props off, and I've never had any startups or whatever on my quad or anything like that. So I've been, yeah, it's been fine.
I mean, mine was about 4 years in, and I had my first one.
What happened?
Well, okay, I was flying my quad around, and I had been flying a lot, but obviously my skills were getting better, and I was being more daring, and I was crashing it a lot more, power looping trees and everything. And it was on one of the SPF boards, the Seriously Pro Racing F3 boards that don't crash well anyway. And it was just being a little bit weird. It wouldn't necessarily arm. So I went home and I tried to just, you know, see if the switches were working and everything like that. I just hooked it up to the computer, no battery. And then I think it was something like throttle calibration. I did something or other. And it was only once I disconnected from the computer and actually armed it, it spun up in front of my hand. Like I was sat at the desk and it spun up right in front of me. Ninja-like reflexes. I did catch it.
Scary.
But I did slice one of the top of my fingers almost clean off, so it was a big flap of skin.
Yeah.
I know, sorry. But home bandage, kept it on. A couple of weeks was annoying, but it was fine. And I think there's a scar, but I was lucky because it was right next to my face. You know, I was sat at my desk. And ever since then, I've been extra careful. Because like you said, when you hook them up to the PCs, anything can happen if you've got your props on and battery connected.
Yeah, that's it. Always take your props off.
But that was my own fault. That was something that I did, and I guess I learned from the mistake. But the truth be known is that it'd be easier not to learn from mistakes.
It would be.
Yeah. So, come on, Tony. Fill us in on the glory details. You don't have to name names or where or anything, but...
I'm not going to name names or anything like that.
That's
because it's not fair. It's not fair, and it was a freak accident. But went flying with mates Saturday, I think it was Saturday afternoon, and yeah, just like some new guys come up, younger than us, so they're just like eager to fly. And you know how it is, you crash out while you're racing, and you just want to get up and get your quad and start flying again. And one of the guys ran on without saying anything while I was flying, and I happened to see him, and I just dumped my quad into the ground. And
as you do, yeah.
Said, look, you need to call if you're going on track at least. So that was that. And then I said, I'm going on track to pick my quad up. Went to pick my quad up from the track and got smashed in the face with a quad, basically, which was not fun.
I mean,
5S into my chin with
ow.
a GoPro on.
So,
I pretty much wrecked his pod on top of his quad with my jaw. So I know I haven't got a glass jaw, so I should have been a boxer. Had 5 stitches. When it happened, one of my mates come running over, and he was really, really good. Called the ambulance and everything because there was blood, and he took his t-shirt off, and I was just holding my chin because I thought it was broke. I thought I had no teeth. I was too scared to move my tongue around. I was dazed. I felt sick. It was just awful. Just one of them awful things that you never want to happen. And it happened, and I was like, shit, sorry for swearing. I thought, something's happened. I've got no teeth, or, something's happened. It's hit my jaw. I was in so much pain. Seemed like ages that the ambulance got there, and they actually got there in like 10 minutes. It was really good, and ended up going to Tooting Hospital where they had that 24 hours in A&E, so they were trying to film me, and I was like, I can't speak, so I was like, no, do you want to be filmed? I was texting, no, go away, I don't want bad drone news, bad drone news, because they would have had a field day with it, so.
You would have.
Yeah, so, I had 5 stitches and come home that night, and it's been not a nice week for eating or drinking.
No.
I've had the stitches out today, so I feel a little bit better, but it's all like itchy and stuff, but it still hurts when I open my mouth quite wide. But I just think, sorry,
it hit your face, didn't it? And
it hit my chin, just dead on there.
Can you give the close up? I mean, can you give us a close up?
I don't think you can see it. I mean, I've actually healed quite well.
Actually, the beard may have protected a little. That's why I'm growing mine, in case I get any pop strikes to the face.
That's it.
The extra layer of protection cushioning.
Well, I've got a massive bruise here, and
wow.
I don't know if it bounced off my chin or I got struck by 2. We're not sure.
Probably likely that it hit your face, and if you hit a tree on one arm, the quad naturally wants to spin, so it probably spun into your chest then. So.
Yeah. I still class myself as bloody lucky, because if it had been up here, I would have probably been blind. If it had been around this area, I would have definitely had a smashed up nose and no teeth. But down here, I mean, my cut was deep enough to maybe cut right into my throat.
Well, that's it. If it goes on the side of the neck or anything like that, then...
I was just lucky. Like, it hit this bony bit. I mean, I honestly thought it was broken when I went to A&E and had the x-rays. They said, no, you're fine, you haven't broke it. I was like, thank God for that. And then I'd slowly got more confident to move my tongue around, and I was like, okay, I've got my teeth are still in my head, thank God. So yeah, it was just one of them things. But so this is what kind of we talked earlier, to talk about safety, and now you never think it's going to happen to you. And this it was a 5S quad as well. It ran straight into me. It was probably doing about 50 at least. How I didn't break anything, I don't know.
You can always
break his quad though.
You have the injury, you're allowed to say whatever speed. It must have been doing 100. Yeah.
Oh, it's easily 80.
Well, these days on 5S, you're looking at least 70 to 80, aren't you? So
yeah, it was just
was he trying to aim through a gate? Or?
Yeah, I think he come up through a gate, and I was picking my quad up because I said I'm going on track. He obviously didn't hear or didn't look, because he obviously put his goggles on and flew, because he took off and flew and then flew into me. So
I guess
it wasn't as if he was going around and around, but it was just an accident. He was just as worried as I was. I shook his hand and was like, don't worry, it's fine. And he was a nice bloke.
That's good. Well, we're not going to name names, but I was just going to say that sometimes when people shout out, or it comes from a plane flying days. You'd always shout taking off, landing, dead stick, anything like that. But the trouble is, not everyone shouts very loudly, and perhaps when people are on FPV, and sometimes people even have microphones in, or headphones in to get the audio signal. So there's a lot of things that it may easily get lost. If they're deaf in one ear, then whatever. And I think definitely what people should have for race events or something then is those air horns, just to signify that there is a danger on the track or something. Because regardless of what you're listening to, you'd hear a noise like that over someone's shouting going onto the track, which people may not. So
I know what it's like. It's like you just, if you crash out and others are flying, you just want to go out and get your quad and get back up in the air. Where we race, we've got a news that we're just, after this has happened, we've all talked and said, look, if you crash out, that's it. You stay down. You don't go out and get your quad. You wait until everyone's crashed or finished their flying, and that's just the new rules, because it's not worth it. This could have been a hell of a lot worse. I mean, I'm just glad it hit me where it did hit me.
I mean, at organised events, you pretty much wait until the end of the race, don't you? So
yeah, well, you have to, definitely. But I'm trying to sort of tell people to be careful when you're flying with your mates, because you lose that. We've been flying with them so long. Oh, they know I'm out there, but it's just not worth it.
It's like we've had someone in our group that we've called loose cannon.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've referred to him before. If you're out there, Andy, big thumbs up, man. We love you. A self-appointed loose cannon name, and I guess not everyone will pull each other up in a club or even just a Facebook group. Not even a club where there's a level of authority and a chain of command in that sense. But even when people are just collecting each other together, I think it's important that people say something. It doesn't have to be much. If somebody acts or does something that is entirely questionable. I mean, I was flying with someone who's a very good pilot, and don't get me wrong, this is just, even he says this was a rarity, but flying line of sight, he brought it back, but he brought it back to height level, literally inches away from his face, and I was only a foot or two away as well, and I said, "Whoa, what are you doing?" And I put him up, and I actually felt a little bit bad about it, but I was hoping at the same time that just raising that concern may make people be more mindful. And it's not about policing people, it's about having an awareness for safety and respect for that these things can cause serious harm, if not death. So
I believe that you could die from a drone strike. I mean, if it hit me in the head, I could have
concussion, I mean, there's many things that
definitely, especially the speed they travel at now. I mean, he probably wasn't going full whack, but it was fast enough.
When you consider how many people are racing now at weekends, though, and how many more are up there, I think it can be done extremely safely, all things considered. And I guess that's the question is, we'll open up to the chat room, everyone that's in there. Do you speak to people if they're in your club or wherever you fly with your groups if they do something stupid? Are you one of the ones that likes to be a bit more wild and reckless? Have you had any injuries? Yeah, get in there. Chris has joined us in the chat a little while ago, and Mr. Thrust, hello, sir.
Hello, Mr. Thrust. Looking forward to seeing you at the mini air show, the Scottish lads who come down to the mini air show.
Yeah, which is coming up in less than a month. I was hoping to get one of the guys on or release some updates to. I think registration is due out this week if it's not open already, and I think the tickets will be going up soon. So if you haven't bought them already, get over to miniairshow.co.uk and buy your tickets. I'm so looking forward to going to that. Just camping somewhere and flying, and then waking up, having coffee, and probably poached eggs. Sorry, I'll do some vegan ones. I don't need, but I don't know if they exist.
I'll be fine. I'll bring my own food.
Well, actually, no, you don't need to, actually, because the Scouts are going to be putting on a smorgasbord of delights and tasty treats, including, I think, vegan stuff.
Really?
So,
excellent.
Yeah. I'll make sure. I know there's at least vegetarian, but there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to do vegans. Even if they just went and bought the vegan variety of the corn stuff.
Yeah, exactly. The Lyndon McCartney sausages. They do burgers and all that, so it'd be all good.
Yeah. Have you got your ticket yet, Tony?
No, but I know
You
I'm pretty sure I'll get one all right. I'm going to go and help out on the Friday, so I'm going to be helping putting stuff together on the Friday down there. So I'm pretty sure I'll be fine to get a ticket.
I think they are still looking for volunteers as well. So if you don't want to buy a ticket, I'm sure that probably, if you help them out enough, they'll let you on and you can enjoy a relatively free weekend. There's still camping and stuff to people, run by other people.
Yeah, but it's all good. I was in a hammock last year between between Martin Fossil Stuff Boss's van and my van. We had both the roof racks on, and I slept between the vans.
You're probably sure enough
cool.
to get in one of those roof boxes.
I probably could.
I'm very little
penthouse. It was nice. That reminds me, I'm going to have to get a small tent. I've got quite a big tent, which just takes too long to set up. But yeah, I'm going to get a little 2-man tent for this year.
Yeah, my little orange one that's made it down that sort of neck of the woods a few times has already helped out. But actually, that's the thing, actually. Who goes camping in FPV? And like, I've always thought that you need at least a 3-man tent to go camping for one person with FPV stuff, because you want to put all your stuff inside the tent. And it's important, if you're having anything like that and you're not actually having a car to store stuff in, to have water repelling things, or rather a double skin on the tent. I know a lot of people have camped down there last year, got wet backs, wet equipment, which also then is a safety concern as we bring it back to safety.
Yes, we do.
No,
yes, be safe out there, people.
Yeah. So, fossil stuff. He wasn't flying a fossil stuff frame, I'm guessing. This,
no.
It'd be ironic if you got smashed by a fossil stuff.
Yeah. Bit weird, wouldn't it? No, he wasn't.
Well, you know, Fossil Stuff is our main sponsor at the moment, providing us with the much-needed cash to keep us running. So thank you to Martin and Fossil Stuff. I believe they're going to be down at the Miniature Air Show this year with Martin there and co.
Yeah, I don't know if the whole crew are going or not, but quite a lot of us are. I'm going to be there. I'm going. Bradders, I don't know if JB's there this year. I think he's away. I think most of us are going. It's going.
So you're going to have to do Team Fossil then. Like, I think we've got a team together.
I think we are going to do a Team Fossil. I don't know who's going to be piloting yet. Definitely Smokey, because he's our main guy at the moment. He goes to every event possible. I haven't done any proper events yet this year. So yeah, definitely Smokey. I think it might be me, Bradders, and someone else. I'm not sure, but I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I don't even care about coming first, second, third, last. I really don't care. The whole atmosphere of that weekend last year, it's like after the day's flying and then sitting around the campfire with all your mates, was just so good.
Yeah, and
that's the bit I love. And then we had all the night planes flying while we were having a beer and sitting around a fire. It's wicked. And then all your mates who come down, and it's just brilliant. I love it.
It is. Well, I mean, the first year I didn't camp. I just went down for the day. The last year it was camping, and I didn't actually stay on site. I actually stayed off site.
No, you got to camp. That's the whole FPV thing.
I mean, I've camped enough at Hidden Valley, and I tell you one thing, I always have such a good night's sleep there. I think it's the fresh air or the running around after the quad all weekend. I've worn myself out.
And that.
Yeah. So Mr. Thrust is hoping you're going to have everything ready for him, Tony, or them when they come down.
Yeah, we get it all ready for Mr. Thrust.
Yeah.
I met him at the first ever Nationals 2 years ago. There was a group of Scottish lads, and they'd got in, and I'd got in, and I went up with Jack and Radio C guys, and they were just good enough to take me under their wing.
Was that the year I was there?
Yeah, you were. I think you were running the streaming. Yeah, that's it. So I sat with them with their guys, and they took me under their wing and helped me out with stuff and let me sit with them and stuff. So I wasn't on my own because I didn't really know anyone then. So yeah,
a year and a half ago. Wow.
It's weird. It's like that was the first ever one, and that's and you know, it seems to have grown so much. Hey, NJ.
Hey man, how you doing? Sorry I'm late.
Don't worry, welcome NJ. Good to have you on the show.
Yeah, good to be here. It's been a few weeks.
I know it has. What have you been? Where you been? What have you been up to?
I went on holiday with the missus to Morocco for a little bit of a break. Little bit. Well, yeah, it was nice. I'd say the weather was probably the best bit. Really beautiful blue skies. No drone with me, unfortunately. I've heard too many horror stories about people getting drones confiscated going into Morocco and what have you. So I thought I'd better not risk it. So I didn't do any droning for a sort of 6 days. But yeah.
Well, I think since you've last been on the show, I've been flying race flight. And
yeah, have you been getting on?
Yeah, you know what? I figured I'd try it because I had a new build, and I thought, well, I've loved KISS, and I'll try race flight since everyone's raving about it. And I was suitably impressed, straight out of the box.
Suitably impressed. Very, very reserved, Jay.
Well, it's early days, and there were a couple of. Everyone was saying, "Oh, the wizard's so easy," but I managed to skip this step where you put it on its nose to set the orientation of the board, and it wouldn't let me continue. I had to go back to the very start again and do the whole lot again. So I appreciate it's still beta. So actually, I'm very impressed with what it's capable of doing.
And how was it? How was the tune out of the box?
I haven't adjusted it since.
Good. So you felt it was decent. Did you set the rates to where you want them and just sort of leave the tune where it was?
The rates are just a little low at the moment, so each time I go out flying, I've been meaning to change it.
So you haven't touched anything, have you? Just say it. So you've done nothing.
No, I haven't touched a single thing. Yeah, but I wanted to give it a proper run for its money. How well was it on tune? Considering it's different aircraft, different motors, and everything, and the rates. So.
It's amazing that they can do that, isn't it? That everyone's got a different frame and they can set it so it works pretty much out of the box on everyone's.
Yeah, it's all a very, very clever trick of filtering, mainly, I think, is what they're doing. And the most impressive thing I've seen in the last jump from RC, I think it was 9 to 12 or whatever it was the ability to switch from 4S to 5S without having to retune either, and that was kind of the one that impressed me the most, because normally when you go up to a higher voltage, you're going to get oscillation and you have to start lowering your PIDs. And on the earlier release candidates, I did have to lower my PIDs to get 5S to work. And on RC9, I think it was, or 12, one of the later two, I went to 5S on exactly the same tune, and it was great. And it didn't have any of the kind of typical problems you have with going up on voltage. So yeah, they're doing some clever dynamic stuff, and yeah, it's good to see it all developing nicely. And interestingly, I don't know who else caught this or whether you've noticed or mentioned it at all, but Johnny FPV has just released a I'm Back video, well, not that long ago, and he's now jumped over to race flight as well. And those new Emax white motors as well, the 2400 kV ones, which I've got set coming to check out. But I
was going to say if you'd got them yet or not.
No, I haven't got. I'm a bit disappointed I haven't had those turn up yet. But I have got a nice set of those new Cobras to try out and do a review on. Those 2207 2450 kV, which I think are the ones you're running as well, Jay, right?
Yeah, I love them. I absolutely love them. They're just so smooth and quiet. So it'd be interesting. You're putting them on a stretched X.
Well, the stretched X is not with me yet. It should have been. Unfortunately, the motors have turned up first, and I hear that's been delayed. So I may just buckle to temptation and put those on my regular Beast X, and that will give me a good direct comparison with the ZMX 2206 2300 kVs, which were the ones that I've been running the most and like a lot. But they're not without issue, but they are great motors. So I may swap those in just so I can try these Cobras out. I mean, a quick look at them, I'd say they're kind of typical Cobra builds. They've got the annoying C-clips, and they haven't got the hollow shaft, which was an interesting move, because I think more and more people are kind of seeing the light with the hollow shaft thing, but I don't know what kind of hardened steel they're using, so they may be plenty durable.
One slight warning though, NJ. On one of my motors, you don't have to require too much strength to strip the motor attaching screws. So just be careful you don't over tighten them. I'll probably use something like Loctite instead.
So what did you strip? The nut or the thread?
Thread. The thread.
Really, on the shaft?
Yeah, onto the bottom of the motor, the mounting. Yeah.
Right. See that?
So all I'd say is just be a little bit careful. You don't. I mean, they're M3 or so, and you don't require much force. That's one fault I found, but otherwise I'm very happy. And to be honest, 3 screws in is fine for me.
Oh, sorry, I'm not with you. I thought you meant the actual top nut that was being tightened down on the prop. So you mean the actual motor, the bolts in the bottom you've stripped?
Which is not uncommon for some of these.
Don't know your own strengths, Jay. That's your problem.
I know. Yeah, it's this vegetarian diet.
You don't need to. You don't need to talk them down too much. But yeah, they look like they're hand wrapped as well. Those windings, they look like they're a proper hand built motor. So yeah, we'll see. I'll get stuck in with them. I've heard lots of good things. So
well, you see, I guess as a mark of what tech is quite good at the moment. Raceflight sold out everywhere initially. The Cobra 2207 motors are sold out everywhere, and at least UK wise. I had to get mine from Germany, which took a week.
Oh really? Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. Well, mine have come all the way from Israel, courtesy of Ready Eddie. So yeah, I'm very, very happy to be trying those out. Sorry, I just noticed something in the chat. NJ, do you have Insta? I have a personal Insta on njtech Insta, but I was literally thinking about that just the other day. So I will start an njtech Insta so that I can, make quads look beautiful with filters or whatever else I happen to capture.
And taking pictures in a field on a tree trunk and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it's all about setting, isn't it, actually?
Yeah, well, the weather's getting better now, so.
There is quite a well-known, at least in the South, quad photographer, Michael, the Light Whisperer. And you can often see him at events in the South, laying down in front of the grass, in front of the quads, getting the most unique angles and absolutely stunning photographs. So if you
he did a few for me. He's awesome.
Yeah.
Really...
If you ever see a man laying down in front of your quad, just leave me for a while, you'll get a good photo. But that's what you need to be starting doing. I want to see that in you, NJ, when you're photography.
Yeah, I like a good thumbnail. That's what they're normally for. They're just photos for thumbnails for my YouTube videos.
So other new products, we've had quite a few new products announced. There's another Phantom 4 with the DJI stuff. A little bit of news.
We can't get through an episode without talking about DJI, can we?
I know, but it's kind of news, and we just have to cover it off. So
that's true.
We're going to strap you to a Phantom one day and send you up. Maybe how many Phantoms do we need to carry up, NJ?
Hey, I've got some old DJI gear. That's fine. Or,
what about the Spark? There's rumours of the Spark. Have you seen that, Jay?
No, what's that?
I haven't. No.
DJI. It's a DJI put a pattern in for the name Spark, and apparently I've seen it could be a new DJI. It's smaller than the Mavic, 2-axis gimbal, and it's tiny.
That sounds interesting.
But it's called the Spark. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But they found
very interesting. Yeah, that's a good idea. Just putting something in that area where people can't quite justify stretching to the Mavic, even though they may lust after one.
Maybe. Other news today, Apple have snapped up the exclusive rights for. You may have seen this. It looks like a book that folds out and it's a selfie drone.
Oh, really?
They've snapped up exclusive rights to sell it in the Apple store. So it seems that some of the large companies now are pushing their name behind.
Yeah, I've seen Banggood did a few actually. I just thought them a bit too ridiculous to review one myself, but I was sent a few links of some very interesting. They were more looking like kind of mobile phone size little flat things that you put in your pocket, and then the arms fold out and it'll sit in front of you. I love the way people have got shots of it, like taking pictures of them in the pub and like really inconspicuous places to start hovering. Couldn't see that happening.
There was one of the recent Kickstarter drones that essentially, I can't remember which one it was, maybe the Lily or something. Well, quite a few of them actually, not just the Lily.
Lily died, didn't it?
Yeah, well, quite a few actually used GoPro footage to advertise footage you'd get from it.
Oh, that's a bit rude.
Well, they knew that they'd get 640 by 480 or at best 720 from a CMOS sense of rubbish. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The other exciting thing that turned up while I was away was the new Fat Shark Commander goggles. Not Fat Shark. Wow, I've just made a terrible mistake.
Oh, sorry, folks.
Freudian slip.
I want them to be Fat Shark.
Freudian slip. Sorry, they're not Fat Sharks. They're actually very much not like Fat Sharks at all. Sorry, the Aeonway Commander V1 goggles. Sorry, Aeonway. Yeah, they're very, very interesting. I've managed to like literally do one session with them, and they're 16:9, which I thought initially I would hate, but actually I don't. Even though stretching a 4x3 that way is a little bit of a weird thing. I'm really quite impressed with what I'm seeing for the cache, and the diversity on them is excellent. That was the most amazing thing. You know, in Showcot, anyone that's seen my flight videos, you see where I fly in Showcot and the areas I tend to stick to and avoid. And I was able to get right behind the treed area using a combination of a patch antenna and actually it was one of the Aeonway circular polarized antennas, and then the Menace RC patch, which I've sing the praises of all the time. And with those two, I was right behind the trees, no problems at all, just the occasional little flicker. So great diversity, light, built-in fan, DVR, HDMI, side-by-side 3D, and like 270 quid. Very, very impressed with these.
What's the software like on them? As in, does it remember your last channel that you were using, or? Yeah,
no problem with that. It's got an auto scan built in, which is obviously brilliant. It's got all the main, I think it's 40 channels. It may be slightly more than that. SD card to pop in the top, which is a little bit easier to get to than poking in the middle of the Fat Shark ones. It just mounts straight on the top for playback and what have you. They're a slightly different shape. They're slightly, whereas the Fat Sharks tend to have a really quite aggressive arc to them, these kind of come out a little flatter, but they've got some really thick bits of foam. So they kind of solve the problem of people with narrow faces, which I think I fall under the category of. Yeah, they seem to fit my sort of slightly narrow head quite well, the way the Fat Sharks do, but they'll also accommodate someone with a slightly wider face and larger IPD. It has IPD adjustment, by the way. But yeah, there's no blurring on the screens that I can see, which is really nice. No kind of distortion on the edges, being a wide screen in there. And they have inserts for the standard Fat Shark diopters, exactly, which is a really clever touch, I think. If you've got diopters, they'll go straight in.
Would they be available? But
yeah, so they've thought of everything, and that's basically about 100 quid cheaper than its kind of direct competitor, which is the 16:9 V3s by Fat Shark. And yeah, 100 quid cheaper, diversity built in. Don't have to go out and buy diversity modules. That's I think they're going to be a very compelling product.
People need to know what you were buying before.
Oh, right. So before, everyone, people always guessing my goggles and guessing wrong. I have my Fat Shark Attitudes, and they are the V1s. So they were the first ever Attitude that Fat Shark put out. I've repaired them about 3 times, including fixing a broken ribbon cable. They've been absolutely brilliant. But yeah, I then modded the faceplate to fit on the front because the separate faceplate didn't fit, so I had to make some modifications for that. And it is non-diversity, obviously, and there's no module bay door on it, so you can't even, hacking a diversity module in that's a nightmare. So yeah, that's quite a big jump from the very first Fat Sharks very first Attitudes that Fat Shark made to something like this. But yeah, it's they've done well. I haven't really felt the need to change away from them, but diversity is definitely, it's a thing. Whereas I thought initially it wasn't that much of a thing. I'm maybe starting to get a little bit sold that they're starting to get it right now.
I remember you used to in a tricky area take off your circular polarized antenna and put on just a patch and fly around with just a patch to get.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, switch to a patch for an intense area.
As long as the diversity switches well, and I guess that's the only problem sometimes. I know on the older ones there were either lag issues when it's swapping or noise and static.
I think the thing for me is I'd fly something like the Invader patch all the time, to be honest with you, if it wasn't for the fact that occasionally you forget that you've got it on and you'll fly too far behind yourself, and it's like a cutoff, or you've just got snow straight away. Although it is forgiving, it does give you some, it does give you something around you and behind you, not very much. And really it's the security of that, but most of the time the actual field of view you've got, and this depends as well on how gormless you are when you fly in goggles. If you're one of these people that does this, like I tend to stand very still and I'm focused on trying to keep my head still. So I know my patch is pointing in the right place, and the patch you want to be up a little bit and then in the direction that you want, and you'll be fine and have good penetration around sort of light foliage and stuff. But if you're one of these people that moves your head around everywhere, you need to run.
Just give me an idea, NJ, for a competition.
A Stevie Wonder competition.
Yeah, the best. I mean, I just set a precedent, right? And this is open maybe for the next couple of months. So this is officially now a competition. What you win, maybe a patch antenna, I don't know. Maybe just rubbing things from the bottom drawer.
I'll tell you what, I've got a spare patch antenna we can give away, Jay. So yes, you can win one from us.
But it's the best FPV stands. And obviously get the person's permission you're taking the photo of before you send it in. But the best person...
That's quite a good idea, actually. I like that.
The best person I've seen that does one, you'll know this, NJ, is Sundance Squid. He does like an action pose, ready as though he's going to go out.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, he looks like he's ready to...
The coolest FPV stance I've ever known.
It's a proper... So it's like some kind of karate stance or something. It's pretty awesome.
I cannot stand up. I can't fly standing up.
Yeah, it's a weird thing.
Sit down.
Sorry, it's just got mentioned something that I'm seeing in the comments here. Fox are doing a session format action camera too called the Box. Yes, they are. It will be priced between the GoPro Session 5 and the Run Cam, somewhere in the middle at like 150, something like that. I do have one coming to put into the mix and test against the other two. And then there's also, what else did I see there? I've got the Dom 3's been waiting for a good 16:9 camera since I got them. So
Monster.
I've got the Monster V2. It's arrived. I haven't unpacked it, but I will be putting that in to test as well, the Monster V2. And this is the second version because the first version of the Monster had some issues. Sorry, not the Monster V1. The first run of the Monster V2 had some issues where the chip wasn't retaining settings when you power cycled it, which is obviously extremely annoying. So they recalled them, and now the new version of the Monster V2 is out. That's the one I've got. So I'll be checking that out and see what that's like with these new 16:9 goggles I've got.
I mean, there is.
How do you find it flying 4.3 in 16:9 goggles?
I switched to it pretty quickly. I mean, everything's kind of warped for me anyway because I've all my freestyle stuff. I've got to use like a
what speed?
A pretty I use a very wide 2.1 angle camera, so everything's warped to hell anyway, and super fisheye. So having that camera and then going 16:9, it doesn't change it as drastically as you'd think. It was actually quite pleasant. Like I thought I was going to hate it, and I didn't. I just I looked in and thought, yeah, that's weird, and then I started flying and I totally forgot about it, and it was fine. So
I had a mate take goggles back today because he thought they malfunctioned, and he didn't clean the lenses with his cloth.
Oh.
So well done, Rich. You know who you are.
We've all had those weird either dirty lenses or cap left on the camera. Yeah, always some head scratching from something.
Yeah, that's it.
So Tony, probably, I don't know if you've touched on this already, but it looks like your cat won a fight against you.
Yes, it did.
We have.
It's an impressive scar. I'm going to assume you wrestled an alligator and won, but just in case you didn't, do you want to fill me in?
Yes, we have elaborated on it earlier. Yes, I got a 5S quad into my face.
Oh, Jesus, a 5S as well. Awesome.
Yeah, with GoPro on. I annihilated his quad with my jaw.
Right, your jaw did the damage to him. Right, he must have been really going some as well.
Well, it actually just took off and gone through straight up into my face, but
Bloody hell.
it was just a freak accident, and you know, he felt bad. He come to the hospital and he done all he can for me, and it was just one of them things, you know. It was so like we've changed our rules on flying, where we fly now, as in, you know, we're not gonna. If you crash, that's it. You wait until everyone's landed or crashed. We just changed stuff. So I just want everyone to be a bit more, because you just get blasé about it. You know, you're out flying with your mates and that, and you know them all and you trust them all, but it's just one of them things. It's just easy to happen. So it's just, I just wanted to mention it just so people just remember.
No, good on you, mate. As you should. I mean, I'm from the old school RC. You know, when I was flying planes and stuff as a kid, and the local club, you know, everything like that happened. You know, people would say if you lost engine power, you scream at the top of your lungs, dead stick. You never fly over the pit. You know, always taking off in a wind. Like, there's all the rules that are there, and they're there to keep people safe. And you know, with a lot of new people coming in, and it's being such a new hobby, or an area of the hobby, there's going to be lots of people that just don't know this, and you get a group of people together, accidents are going to happen. So it's just one of those things you have to persist on promoting. It's much like the world of real aviation. All the greatest aviation manuals, all the commercial aviation manuals, are mostly written in blood. If you haven't heard that term before, it's because accidents have happened, blood has been shed, and then a new rule has come about as a result of it. And you know, that is just one of those things. But I'm very glad it didn't slice you any lower or any higher, because it could have been an eye or a jugular. So thank God for that.
Yeah, I know. I was really lucky.
Yeah.
But people playing Sunday League and stuff, if they do stupid things, they get a red card, a yellow card, whatever. And I think it's probably not a bad idea, not unnecessary to implement into clubs, but people should be mindful to go away and do a quad awareness course if they have some bad strikes. I guess we're at the early days of what is formulated to be a safety-minded sport. And like you said, sometimes when you're with friends and stuff, you get complacent, you get a little bit...
Yeah, and it's the same thing. Like I get uneasy unless people are at least got the quad like 10 feet, or like walk out 10 feet, put your quad down, then launch. Don't just launch it next to you. And the amount of people who will just sit the quad next to them, power it up, and just gun the throttle and go, you know, that may seem cool to you, but you've just scared the shit out of everyone. If anything went wrong, or the board orientation was wrong. And Laura in the comments there makes a good point. Everyone should make sure they have insurance. You know, insurance is so cheap, and any big body or club that you're joining, be it a Facebook group or whatever, that should be something that's in the information. People should know, like, where to go and grab some liability insurance, because you know,
definitely
you could be forking out 2 million or more if you you know, as an accident even to kill someone. So it's £15 a year, or even a little bit more if you get
it's relatively speaking, it's absolutely nothing. So you know,
the motor sensors.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, 100% something that needs to, however boring, needs to be reiterated.
I wonder how many injury lawyers are going to get. I was hit in the face with a drone.
So that'll be the next big thing, won't it? Once PPI's calmed down, it's going to be,
we need to make more money. How are we going to do it? I know drones. That's a big industry.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, all things considered, Tony, I am glad you're a little bit safe. And obviously, if anyone comes up with great ideas, the BFPVRA obviously are always mindful of pushing out these ideas. And I guess it takes people to be mindful now and actually just start setting the policies and things. Safety should be the number one priority before fun.
It should. It really should, especially taking it on the chin like I did.
Yeah.
It bloody hurts, and it's hurt for a week, and I actually feel better today because I have my stitches out and I can move my mouth a bit better. But
I still think like an air horn, just to signify that.
They're cheap. Maybe air horn's a good idea for us lot as well.
just to say that somebody's out, or there's walkers coming, because it's not just a risk to ourselves. Sometimes public incursions and stuff, people walk in the path or cars or anything. And
I dare say with the way racing and telemetry is accelerating inside of our quadcopter world, and the more we're getting in our OSDs, it won't be long before we get a little yellow flag pop up in the corner by the race director, and then yellow flag, slow down or land or whatever. I'm sure that will come about at some point, but
sadly it's often through these things that it changes. I dare say if somebody died, then be all the sort of experts and regulatory bodies sort of making these decisions, but what we try and have to do is make sure it doesn't ever get to that point from our actions.
Absolutely.
Well, I was the first drone-related incident they had in that particular hospital, and they were bloody filming 24 hours in A&E as well. I was like, no, I don't want to be filmed.
Yeah, definitely.
You will just use this drone. All drone kills man, smacks his chin open, and you know how they do it. They make it so bad. So I was just like, no, I do not want this going in the news or on telly or anything. So just
I mean, there's
away.
Most of those things are freak accidents, but there are sensible things that can be done to avoid it. But I mean, there has been deaths in the model aircraft world. There has been deaths by planes. There's been actually a few, not loads, but there's been a few with 3D helicopters as well, because there you're looking at a 120 millimeter and upwards carbon spinning blades with incredibly high torque motors doing 3D, and some of these guys are doing inches from their face.
Oh, no,
and I think it was 2-3 years ago, a guy in Florida, a great competition pilot, the name escapes me. He had an incident that came and literally just took half his neck off, and he was killed instantly.
Wow.
So this stuff happens. I don't think what we have is dangerous in the same way that is, but it's still something capable of high speed with rotating parts.
Exactly.
Scary beans.
And I guess more to the point, and this is what happened to you, I suppose, Tony, is that we actually try and aim for small gaps, as in, particularly on a race circuit. Usually you aim for the flags and the gates, and you might crash near that flag or gate, and then you may need to go back as other people are aiming for that. At least in the 3D heli world and things, it was a display generally well organized in that sense, rather than a track where you're trying to aim through. So the actual risk is higher, I'd say, for us with the racing, just for the nature of where you're going.
I don't know, them 3D helis, when they start up, I always stand behind. I normally find Jack and just stand behind him.
Yeah, they are very intimidating.
They're so scary.
Human shield.
Get behind Jack, you'll be all right.
This is the problem with helicopters and most hovering aircraft like that, as opposed to a plane, and why, especially in the model world, why helicopters have the potential to be so dangerous is because there are so many, what's the aviation term? Single points of failure is the term, where 1 2-pound link could go on a helicopter and the whole thing's coming out the sky. There's lots of single points of failure, which is why the people that normally build these, you have to be, I spent 10 years flying RC helicopters, and longer than that actually, and I used to be so meticulous about every little part of the build, and it's taken a while to adjust to, with quads, you just bolt stuff on, go and fly. You crash, you rip something off, you put a zip tie on, you go up and fly. If you crash like that with helicopters, the whole thing's going home, even if it's the tiniest little knock, and you've got to spend ages going over every component to make sure it's airworthy and back up. And it hits the wallet a lot harder with helicopters than it does with quads, I can assure you of that.
I think it requires more skill probably to put together, of an engineering skill to put together a helicopter. Mainly you have to follow the instructions. You have to be careful. You have to be meticulous. And whereas you and I have both seen some dodgy soldering joints, some dodgy soldering on board.
Have you seen mine?
No,
I can't build to save my life.
I'm 100% going to be doing a playlist on soldering tips.
Yeah, I think that's needed. But there's lots of reasons why these things fail in our, let alone from component level. just from build, and things. So. Well, it can't detract from the enjoyment. The question is, Tony, have you flown since you've had this?
I did. It was a bit weird. I went out on my own. I got 2 new quads built up and repaired, and went out and flew on my own. And yeah, it was all right. It just felt a bit weird. Yeah, but it's going to be weird again when I start flying again with other people. I think that's the main thing. Yeah,
once bitten, as they say. We'll be the person who shouts about it now, Tony. Because you're now the guy there to make sure that if someone's doing something wrong, you stop them in their tracks. You can say this happened to me. I don't want to see it happen to anyone else.
Yeah, I've already. We're all flying it in the Valley. Group of about 10 of us going down. I've already said I want a safety talk before we fly. So, and they're all up for that. Most of them were like, "Yeah, that's a good idea," and well done and stuff. So yeah, I will be that one. That's why I wanted to talk tonight and just remind people, don't get complacent, because accidents happen. It's been a bloody lot worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's good that you've actually gone out flying again. I mean,
it won't stop. It wouldn't stop
sometimes
me.
it's just the noise.
It was the noise. It was the noise. When I was flying near myself, I was like, "Oh, that noise now."
Yeah, but it's good. It's good to be scared a bit. I'd be more worried about people who just aren't scared of what they're flying. If you fly that thing near you and you hear it and it gives you the shivers a bit and you're a bit scared, it's like that's a genuinely good thing. You should be a little bit scared of what you're flying, because it forces you to respect it and what it's capable of. If you fly with people who just like zoom past the pits and past people's heads and their own heads and they just laugh, they're the people I won't go flying with. Just as simple as that.
Yeah.
You don't want to promote that in the hobby. Absolutely not.
Not worth it.
Anyway,
friends and stuff, you can shout and rant and rave and pull them up on it, and then apologize later if you know. I mean, I had to do it, as I was saying earlier, with someone recently, and I have full faith in his abilities to fly, but he can't. Gusts of wind, whatever it was, those inches could have reduced to centimeters, could have reduced to an impact, and it's just not worth it. So, do pull up your friends and other people. If you don't like them, it's even easier. But
don't be scared to say anything. Just say something.
Yeah, exactly. Just speak up.
Like, it's worth saying stuff.
Yeah. One other thing I'll mention for anyone listening that is running Velocidrone 1.8 is out, and it's getting better and better, in my opinion. There was definitely
what's the difference.
Well,
between
1.6. Up to that point, the biggest thing I didn't like about it was that they had dropped the Betaflight coding, which is a good thing. Unfortunately, it had, how shall I put this? There was some of the tuning issues that you can get were also in there as well. So there was some of the kickback problems that weren't actually possible to tune out the correct way. Some of those issues were actually inside the sim and had problems when it came to getting the tune exactly the way it should be, which I found kind of strange that all these kind of real world problems, some of the real world problems and quirks were actually, because this is of an earlier base flight release. I think the code was based on 2.9 or something around there. But yeah, some of those quirks were in there as well, and I'm happy to see since 1.7 that those quirks are gone and it's tuning up the way it should, which is great, and it actually feels really nice, and the stick feels good, the rates feel good. So at the minute, Velocidrone is my favourite sim by far, just because of the way it feels. It's not necessarily the best looking one, but it is still good looking.
Is that new in the new release? They've got a new map in there as well, haven't they?
I think so. I haven't actually been through and seen what they've fixed and what's in it, but I had a quick blast on it, and it's feeling incrementally better, which is good. So for the €15 or whatever it is for a one-off license, I just think Velocidrone's a really great simulator, and one I You know, well, you and I have both been in it a few times, haven't we? And just messed around in the multiplayer. But it's like you can genuinely work on freestyle stuff in there, and I'm sure racing stuff. So
interesting.
it's a good
the other night, because it's multiplayer on Velocidrone, we had this idea of playing quad in the sim. So,
oh, good lord.
Carlos, Ectras, Gigawatts, and myself. And the whole idea is you try and pull off a move inside the environment and then get your letters and blah, 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 that whole game. But it was good because you can watch the other person as they try and accomplish it. And you get to learn from the other people. So flying with friends, having a little competition, it doesn't have to be just a race, because I think that can be, if you're not a race pilot.
Well, I like the fact you can switch. You can bring up the sticks, the radio sticks finally, because that took a while to get that implemented. But they've you can actually switch to their view, can't you, to watch what they're doing,
including their stick inputs. I haven't seen that actually,
which is kind of cool. So yeah, I'm really liking that so far. I haven't tested it on my Mac to see how it runs on that yet, but I will. I would be interested to see if it runs on the Mac. Sorry, Tony.
I said, and it's safe.
It is super safe, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
indeed. Well, have you got a sim then at the moment, Tony? Have you been practicing or playing?
I haven't played it on any sims, only because I don't know. Is it that near the real thing? I don't know. I like flying the real thing, and I think if I flew a sim, I'd start getting used to the sim rather than the real.
Well, the way to approach
that's why I've never done it.
The way to approach it, which is what I think is the way to approach sim, and I did this when I was learning to fly 3D helicopters as well. When you know I wanted to go to that next level, sims had just started cropping up. You always want to get your simulator to fly like your real world counterpart. If it doesn't, then it's not doing anything for your flying, because you're always trying to minimize the variables. So I always do that. I know how my quad flies, and I'm very particular about the way my quadcopter flies, including the rates, everything about it, how snappy it is, etc., etc. When I go in the sim, you tune that thing or mess around with all the different models until it feels like your quadcopter. And then when it does, or as close to, then you can genuinely start practicing, you know, bizarre and crazy tricks and backward stuff and whatever you want to do over and over until it's starting to work. So it definitely does have a place. I certainly used it a whole ton when I was learning 3D heli stuff, and I've used it a fair bit to kind of get my head round the stick maneuvers for certain tricks, because some of that requires some muscle memory. Not, you know, some of the tricks you see the top pilots doing, there is an element of muscle memory there, and you can either go out and do it really high up with your own quad for like 3 minutes, or you can sit there for half an hour without a battery restriction and go over it until you're so bored of it you can do it without thinking about it, and you cut out a whole load of work.
That sounds a good bit. It's just the whole, is it that close to real flying? Yeah.
But let's hope they don't get it too close to simulation, else, like NJ's saying, he gets real world problems in the tuning. But also, your quad will just refuse to fly sometimes. You'll have parts fail. It'll just not work for the rest of the day, and it won't let it back into the simulator.
Yeah. So
that is real life.
The Guinness asks, does that sim have Betaflight rates? Yes, Velocidrone has the actual Betaflight code dropped into it. So it's and when you bring up the PID tuning, it is a screenshot of like the Betaflight GUI, which is obviously familiar to most of us to be able to tune. So yes, very much so. Betaflight is well and truly in Velocidrone. So for the cache, I think it's you can't really go wrong. It's updated frequently as well, and those are free lifetime updates. So you know, one license, 15 quid. I think it's kind of a no-brainer, really. Good one. I
might have to try it out then.
Yeah, it's a good one, Tone, really.
My rates on my real quad don't quite come around to how I like it, and I was saying how I need to up that. But the same happens in the sim, just stop short of Horizon. So I'm not saying that they got the same code as Betaflight on Raceflight. Just a coincidence.
Yes, indeed.
So what is everyone up to this weekend? Obviously, everyone's on a long weekend. Tony, what are you doing this weekend?
I'm seeing my mate who's come over from America. He has. Me and Jack sorted him out a quad. And he went over to America. He had a baby and stuff, so he hasn't had time to fly or practice flying. So I gave him my goggles and everything. So he's got a set of Dominator goggles, and he's brought it all back over. And I think we're going to go out tomorrow and do some flying just at my local little freestyle park. And I'm going to kind of try to teach him to fly for a few hours.
Nice.
Yeah, and then
what's the weather doing?
Hidden Valley on Saturday. I don't know. It's really cloudy, and my weather station has got rain clouds on it and low.
See,
and an arrow pointing down. It's bank holiday. It's going to rain. It's going to be crap.
It's double bank holiday, right? So we got, is it Easter Friday tomorrow and then
then
Monday. So yeah, I'm just going to pray to the gods that we have some nice weather. If we do, I'm going to be out. I've got lots to work on, loads of stuff to review and play with, including this monster.
As long as it don't rain.
Yeah, for me it's the wind is a pain as well where I am. Like,
I hate the wind.
I don't mind it. At 12 knots I can deal with, but anything where I live, it's so flat. The wind can really build up and yeah.
No, like even when the props are spinning by themselves from the wind alone, you can still fly.
Oh yeah, they these quads cut through the wind well. It's just the drift that messes with your manoeuvres a bit. But
your dives go.
You start a manoeuvre one place and end it somewhere else.
Jacques coming over my way, so hopefully we'll have a fly. And I'm going to set up some gates, hopefully, and he can fly through them. If you're listening, Jacques. Otherwise, I'm just going to fly. I actually had a load of fun flying my Phantom because it hadn't come out of the box in months.
I'm just going to ask about
flying it over coastline. I've got to maybe drive to the coast, maybe Norfolk, and fly it off the coast.
I want to go to Norfolk. I want to go back to Hunstanton and get on the old cliffs and do some flying out there.
I think the Norfolk, I don't know who the national parks are over that way, do say no drones on the coast.
Do they?
I believe so, yeah. They're a bit more forward-thinking of their national parks, but heck, if you don't know.
On the coast. Unbelievable. Well,
beautiful coastline, isn't it?
It is a beautiful coastline. It's a very clean coastline as well. They're one of the green flag coasts, if you didn't know. Well, Hunstanton's actually where my father's from, so I know that area very well.
Yeah. Might be residents only. Norfolk.
Yeah, but I can blag some heritage to Norfolk, definitely.
I don't know if maybe.
So you were down the coast. What coast were you at, Jay? You were flying out across the sea with your Phantom, weren't you?
Yeah, I was down in Cornwall on a work trip, so I was down.
Epic shots.
I mean, actually, I was in a valley once, when I went flying with it, and I was getting this really good shot. It was panning out, revealing the coastline beautifully, and I thought, this is stunning. And then I realized, it's been carried out to sea. Wait a minute, I'm going to try and get back. So I started moving it back towards myself, and I had to put it in sport mode to get it back.
Sport
you know
mode.
what?
I had to unleash the DJI beast.
It's unleashed the 45 mile an hour. The winds were probably 30 mile an hour. It was pretty lucky. But
have they put one of those, like the F-16 fighter pilots, like one of the red caps over the sport mode thing, so you can lift the cap?
I tell you what, flying, I'll
press the button.
But I'll tell you one thing.
10 degrees of extra forward tilt, here we come.
One thing that highlighted to me was, sometimes if you want to fly somewhere, go up and ask. Like, there was a windsurfer down there, and I said, do you mind if I get some shots? And it was fine. I wasn't going to fly it. It was overseas, and the wind was all wrong, and I thought, no, I'm not going to risk it. But there was another house where I wanted to fly off the coastline. He says, yeah, great. So often, don't be afraid to just say, can I have a fly? And as long as you're personable, you'd be surprised at what people say yes to with these things. And generally, if they ask any question of spying, just walk away.
Yeah. As soon as that comes out. Yeah. Don't think this is going to work.
No, I'm not the wrong person. Bye. Oh, well, I think we should call it a night then. Thank you to everyone, including the late comers of Sundance, came in to share his FPV stance. Ektraz and Chris, quite a few others that joined us in. Thank you.
Yeah,
everyone.
Zero Bloods was there, my man Bloods, and all the usual guys.
Yeah, there's people tuning before.
Lads.
Yeah. And
thank you to our patrons, yes.
Snap. It's with your help and everything that we can.
We got Patreons? Can we afford a pint yet?
Well, no, and don't forget, we have actually our first ever official Let's Drone Out competition, which is actually maybe the second one. But you've got to take some pictures of your mates taking awesome Stevie Wonder / FPV sensors.
Oh my gosh!
We'll
Yeah,
highlight
well, I'm sure we can...
Where are they sending them? Where are they sending them, Jay? Where are they sending pictures?
Put them in the Facebook group, send them to the email, or save them up and make sure they.
I think stick them on the Facebook group, and then we'll pick a winner. I might possibly be able to sponsor something for that. I've got enough bits here I could
excellent
maybe throw into the fray.
And when we'll prove whether NJ does keep his head level or not. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. It's been wonderful.
Awesome. See you soon.
Cheers, guys. Thanks. Bye.
When we stop. Bye-bye.